Is everybody missing this big clue from the Fed that will result in higher silver and gold prices? The silver price and gold price will skyrocket if the Federal Reserve cuts interest rates either sooner or more aggressively than the market is anticipating right now. But what clues do we have that in 2024 that could be the case? And what's the one big clue that's a big story right now that no one is putting the pieces together on that could indicate to us that we could get rate cuts sooner and or more aggressively and a resulting much higher price in silver and gold? Let's talk about it right now. Fellow basement dwellers, silver investors, gold investors, precious metal mining stock investors, if that's you, congratulations. You have been through the valley of doom over the last 2 years. Doom and frustration with the price of the metals and the mining stocks. We know, laying the groundwork, that the Fed's aggressive monetary policy over the last few years have created a difficult environment, to say the least, for silver and gold. But as they start to loosen up a little bit, cut rates, that will be rocket fuel for the price of gold and silver. So the first thing we're going to talk about is this fact that in mid-December, the Fed pivoted. We called it a paradigm shift. The tide had turned, however you want to say it, but that's not the big factor that we need to talk about, because there's something going on right now. Andy Schechtman likes to talk about picking up the crumbs and kind of putting it all together. There's something going on right now that could indicate to us that we could be in for sooner and even more aggressive rate cuts than the market is anticipating right now. What's the big story giving us a big clue that the Fed could indeed cut rates sooner and or more aggressively than the market is anticipating? It's the end of the BTFP program, the Bank Term Funding Program, which is now scheduled, according to the Fed, to end on March 11th. It's big news. Everybody's talking about it, but nobody is putting the pieces together. If the Fed is ending the bailout program for the banks, they wouldn't be doing that if they thought that they were going to leave rates high, because if rates remain high, the banks are headed for an utter collapse. That's what everybody else wants to talk about. Oh, the BTFP program will be over on March 11th, and there's a tidal wave of commercial real estate coming into the banks, and their bond portfolios are down. Think about this. If the Fed knows that they're going to lower rates, that's going to make bond prices go up. That's going to make the balance sheets of the banks much healthier so that they don't need the BTFP. Does that make sense? Why is nobody else putting those pieces together? If the Fed knows that they're going to aggressively cut rates into the future, well, then they know that they don't need the BTFP program. Either that, or the Fed is planning on completely crashing the banking sector. And I understand it's been particularly difficult to be invested in gold and silver over the last few years, but I want you to just consider one thing. We just wrapped up one of the most aggressive interest rate hike cycles in the history of the world. It exceeded expectations in terms of its length and severity. Why can't the opposite occur? It can occur. We could now go through a period of rate cuts that could also be world record in severity and quickness, right? We've talked about this, guys. Everything is happening much more quickly and at a much more severe level. So everybody's freaking out about the BTFP program ending on March 11th. Is that a sign of things to come? A sign of aggressive interest rate cuts? Could it be even possibly kicked off at the January Fed meeting. Hey, I think the odds of that occurring are a little better than what the market is expecting. I'm not calling for a rate cut at the January meeting, but I think the likelihood of it is much more than what most people are willing to consider. Don't you dare forget that this is also an election year. We can factor that into this as well. Typically during election years, a little bit loosey-goosey of monetary policy is what we see because the powers that be want to stimulate the economy. They want you to feel great, and there's no better way for them to do that than to cut interest rates. And also, don't you forget that from a worldwide geopolitical level, if we zoom out from this little microcosm that's the United States and look at what's going on in the world on a geopolitical level, we've got a lot of other things in place that could necessitate much more quick and severe cuts to interest rates. Fortuna Silver Mines is a global intermediate gold and silver producer. Since 2005, Fortuna's best-in-class management has delivered impressive growth and profits. Fortuna's solid financial position and operational expertise allows for performance in any precious metals price cycle and provides a foundation from which to harvest great profits in more favorable metals markets. Investing in Fortuna is an investment in quality, long-term, sustainable production of in-demand precious and base metals. Skyrocketing silver prices and gold prices, measured in unicorn fart dust paper fiat dollars. It all boils down to this. Why would the Fed be canceling their bank bailout program if they didn't know that they weren't soon going to be doing something that would help stimulate the banks, and that would be lowering interest rates? It's as simple as that. Be warned, I could be dead wrong. Heck, we could be sitting next year right now with $1,500 gold and $19 silver. Don't make any financial decisions based on anything I said. Don't decide to get engaged, adopt a puppy, do anything. But we like to adhere to the laws of mathematics. Not even God can change the fact that 2 + 2 = 4. And when we look at the math, we know that there's no way out for the current predicament that the United States has gotten itself into. Money printing will be coming. Devaluation of the U.S. dollar will be coming. Dilution of the currency. And since you can't print silver and you can't print gold, that will result in higher real prices for the precious metals. I appreciate you joining me today. If you want to get your hands on some precious metals, please check out our channel sponsor, Pimbex. They check all the boxes. Best prices, best selection, best service. Throw them in the mix next time you're out shopping for precious metals. Compare what you can get from Pimbex to what you can get at some of the other big online bullion dealers, and I think you'll find that you get more metal for your money. Thanks for joining me today. You are the most important part of Ron's Basement. It's not called RonTube, it's called YouTube for a reason. Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, but most important, have a great day, and make sure that you come back and visit me again here in the basement.